I want to talk about how it's almost impossible to create an original character because at the end of the day, what we're actually creating is characters that create connection and and deepens our relatability to ourselves. Characters often reawaken what we are thinking and feeling within ourselves, and how a character ends up doing this is from the way it looks, from the way it thinks, or they think, from the way they act and respond to conflict in tough situations, and of course the things that they like and enjoy. This ecosystem of traits creates relatability, but what makes them feel original is the timing. The timing in our lives in which we receive these characters might amplify this idea that creates a sense of relief of connecting with someone in story. Symbolically, what the character looks like allows us as creators to amplify certain themes. My main character has a onesie on all the time, and it's because it represents innocence. He has a mushroom on his forehead, which definitely gives it an original take on appearance, but it becomes a symbol of how we feel different amongst a crowd of people, how we might feel like the attention's on us all the time just because we might have like a little eczema. That's why I actually created that, was because eczema that I've had. But it could be a pimple, it could be anything that we struggle with, it could be missing an arm, just looking different. And my main character obviously has something that makes him stand out, which keeps him tucked away from society. But that there in itself is to get people to remember that they are beautiful no matter what. They are human no matter what. And you have other characters that represent a certain level of uniqueness off of appearance, but why it feels unique is because of the symbology behind it. When we create the theme and the meanings behind what we are showcasing, that's what allows us as readers and the audience to experience something refreshing, because it's shifting our way, it's shifting our view on how to look at something. Characters do not have any room to be original today. So while we're creating these characters, it's important to not get stuck on trying to reinvent something or invent something overall. The idea is to collaborate with the environment, topics, and themes so that we can develop a message that communicates a perspective. My perspective throughout my comic book series is that we are bigger than just flesh and bone. We are God consciousness. We have the ability to levitate. We have the ability to remember ancient knowledge, and we have the ability to be better each day. There's nothing that can stop us, only our mindset, only the way we choose to think and perceive reality can be our very own resistance. We are our own enemy, right? So a lot of things in my story are put in place to represent that, even if opposition is external to the main character. But the ongoing theme will always be, you are God consciousness. You are the creator of your own reality, and it's a beautiful odyssey. So, but all the while, nothing about this story is original. Time and time and time again, we get to remember themes within our nature, themes within our body of who we are through story. Another thing I wanted to mention is, like, power systems. People tell me about my power system, which is spore shaping, how my main character bends mycelium the way Aang bends air. And even in that inspiration that comes from Aang bending elements, which comes from ancient martial arts, of not bending, but representing the styles off of elements when fighting is an ancient style of martial arts. Even like in Harry Potter, wizardry is an ancient occult-like knowing of the workings of energy, and that's none of that's new. It's just how we incorporate it into story, pairing up these magic systems with themes within stories to communicate a perspective. And that's literally our trifecta right there of what can feel original. It's less about surface level appearances and things of that nature, but how things are all tied together symbolically. So you'll have the magic, you'll have the theme, and you'll have the main character that communicates. Their interaction between the two will give a new sense of relief, a new sense of they represent the perspective being changed along the journey. So I would stress less about looking for original characters. I would stress less on trying to create original characters and focus more on the themes of your characters and what message are they trying to share. Because as long as you have like a North Star as far as like what your character is trying to communicate through their own ups and downs, you're going to create a deeper connection with your audience, because they get to learn how to change their perspective about themselves, about the world around them, or they might resist it overall and still discover that they have more work to do within themselves. And that's what story does. It helps us evolve as a collective, and that's what makes tales timeless. How long are they able to live within our systems to help us evolve into better versions of ourselves? And if your characters are not creating this level of importance to people, and through entertainment, the entertainment side being the symbology, the way they look, the way they react, the way they respond, if they do not have some level of humor or tension or drama to them, then we're missing out on how to keep people involved. But these tropes and these archetypes allow us to organize what unique essences that we can express through their actions and the way they respond and the way they appear towards the audience. It almost like sounds like branding and all that kind of stuff on some level, and it is in a way, because you're tailoring up. And this is what scares people that want to tell stories, is that you literally are tailoring and crafting something that is seamless, something that feels like a story before it actually communicates as a story. Color schemes, the languages, once again, the themes and the whys of what is incorporated in your story all have to connect in order to give a sense of originality, when in fact it's actually creating a sense of remembering, awakening something deep within the audience as they raise their own consciousnesses through the ups and downs of the main character. So I'm working on a comic book series called Jack and a Journey Starseed Ascension, and I would love your support, whether if you subscribe here. I'm giving out free copies of the first concept Ashcan issue for people to get started in the community of readerships, and from there they will be receiving page-to-page, fully fleshed, updated pages before the comic book is printed. So if you're enjoying my little yapping videos about storytelling, feel free to stay close by, and I'll see you in the next video.